Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Hello, my friends. It is Wednesday, the 9th of April, 2020. Oh, that was a bit high. Sorry about that. It was high because it even hurt my eardrums. And looking at the little bar thing that goes as I'm recording Mullinger's Weekly Ramble, it kind of went off the chart. It kind of flew out the sides of the laptop. But the point is, I'll try and do it a bit deeper. It is Wednesday, the 9th of April, 2025. And it's time for Mullinger's Weekly. In fact, you know what it's actually time for? Is episode 50, if you can believe it. 50! Yeah, we're going proper high pitch today. I'm showing off my range. I haven't done a gig in for 5 days. So I guess I've got my full use of my vocal range. So if anyone has any musical requests, let me know and I will happily sing you My Heart Will Go On. Yeah, that's amazing. When you think about how croaky I normally am, I'll be back on the croak next week. I've got, I've only got 2 gigs this weekend, so not many. St. Andrew's Friday night and Grand Manan, finally, after 11 years of dreaming of performing on Grand Manan, it is finally happening this Saturday night, and it is all thanks to this podcast. That's right, the amazing comedian Jason Gary from Grand Manan, but lives and works in St. John. Listen to a call out I put out on this podcast possibly about a year ago when I said I wanted to perform there, and he said let's make that happen, and he kept following up saying let's make it happen, because quite often I have ideas and I get distracted and I get waylaid with 50 other things. I'll talk you through the 50 things that I have done today. But anyways, the point is that right now I have full use of my vocal range, so I'm going to be making the most of it. I will be treating this podcast like it's a Broadway musical. And to be fair, as bad as that sounds, that is how most Broadway musicals sound to me, if I'm honest. You basically take a script and then just literally, here we are, sitting at a desk, talking a load of bollocks. 50 episodes, 50 hours. That means you've been listening to the shite for 50 hours. Thank you. Yay! Tony Awards. Yeah, you just basically put a tune to some actually quite tenuous expositional dialogue. Obviously not all Broadway musicals like that, and I'm not one of those people that is going to criticise anything, because I love all performing arts. I think I talked about the film Wicked. The musical Wicked. There are 2 absolutely cracking songs in that. Phenomenal songs. Defying Gravity, beautiful song. Can we admit that some of the songs are a bit, I'm a witch, did you know? I am green, don't you know? It's a shame. What? And it is anyway, you know what? I am Mr. Positivity, as you know. For me to sit here and be critical of an art form that people enjoy, it goes against everything that I believe in. So let's focus on the positive, because I have full vocal range today. There is nothing worse. There's nothing worse. There are worse things. I was about to say there's nothing worse than like when I lose my voice and I have to do shows and I'm up there. It's been the whole day worrying and drinking all the teas and doing every trick in the book. There's actually for laryngitis there is a suppository, a bottom suppository that is supposed to be the holy grail of. I've had it a few times, which is inevitable. Like, especially, I remember doing the Montreal Fringe about 10 years ago. I was doing about 15 gigs in like 7 days, and each one they were all long ones. Mostly, 70, 80 minutes ago. Sometimes doing 2 or 3 times a day. Anyway, lost my voice, which is why now I'm kind of live like such a monk when I'm on the road, and sleeping and drinking all kinds of herbal teas and lemon and honey, and really, what's my point? I was going to say there's nothing worse than when you lose your voice. There are worse things. Donald Trump being, but I'm not going to actually. Let's see if I can get the whole podcast about Donald Trump. But one thing I will say, if you are looking for some good news, go to the Guardian newspaper website in England and look for. There's a feature in there on the amount of money that the richest men in the world, and it is always men, wankers. A wonderful interview actually also with the heir to the Disney throne, a lovely lady who leans to the left, and she makes the point that if you are a billionaire and you think you wouldn't be just as well off with 999 million as you are with a billion, then you're a sociopath, which she's absolutely, of course, right about. Anyway, there's an article on the amount of money that all the billionaires who supported Trump have now lost. How much money they've all lost in the last week with this. Again, I'm not going to get into the tariffs thing. I hadn't heard the word tariff. I had heard the word. I was aware of the existence of a word called tariff until the last couple of weeks. But now it's all you hear. It's only tariff. Just a heads up, I mean, to any journalists out there listening, any news anyone who involved in television, there are other things happening in the world, and it is somewhat of your duty to report on them. Speaking of which, I don't want to get into. I want to get into this. There's been two articles in the last week, one in the New York Times and one in the Globe and Mail, basically painting St. John as some kind of like ruined industrial town, with photographs to match, where they've kind of gone out of their way to take pictures of the most depressed areas of St. John. And it's just, what I find odd is, don't get me wrong, there are problems here. Saying that we are the most screwed city in Canada, you could go into any, and then the pictures that they choose to use, you could go into anywhere in the world and take, Hollywood, look at Hollywood. There's a side to Hollywood that's obviously quite nice. Also, famously, LA is screwed. Or there's very depressed parts. You can do it anywhere. So I don't know why all of these big newspapers, and again, as far as I'm aware, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, did they send a journalist? Did the New York Times send a journalist here, or did someone sit and write it in Toronto? Anyway, on the positive side, let's have a laugh at how much money all the billionaires are losing thanks to their buddy Trump. But why am I on this? Losing. Why don't I go to what I've been doing for the last week? Let's go there. So so I've mentioned what I'm doing this weekend. I just had. Can you believe the solar eclipse was a year ago? How lit? I know I don't want to get into. I know the worst topic of conversation is. Can you believe this time a year ago? Because I say the word. It's my favourite topic of conversation. Generally, people hate me for it. My friend Rob Bound back in England always winds me up about the fact that we can't get together without me going, "Did you know 5 years ago today was when we done this and done that?" Oh, I'm actually I'm going to be seeing my friend Rob actually next month. Is it next month? Yeah, I think it is. I'm heading back to England just for a couple of days, ostensibly, primarily, philosophically, methodically, to basically is the word I'm looking for, to write the final chapter of my second book about my late in life ADHD diagnosis, a book which is somewhat similar to the first one in terms of the fact that it is a string of probably 40 to 50 stories of insane things that have happened to me that in this case all relate to what I now know to be my ridiculous ADHD brain, which I hope this podcast provides a insight into the inner workings of the madness. Although I wonder if some of my madness is actually just me and madness and not ADHD. How much am I blaming? I mean, it's good having a thing that you can kind of go, oh, it's that. But I wonder if what's my point? Yes, so I'm going back ostensibly to it's kind of a pilgrimage to write this final chapter. I am going to a place in England that I've never been to before called Blackpool to see a comedian who was the very first comedian I ever saw live, and to figure out some things about my brain. We will see what comes of this, but I'm going to see a comedian on Blackpool Pier And Blackpool is basically what used to be a kind of a seaside town, but now resembles the picture. Blackpool essentially, it was kind of like the holiday spot to go about 5 billion years ago. And now it's weird it's funny actually how old, obviously, as you know, England is, but just it's kind of funny when you think about like Canada, the fact that we were celebrating 150 years, and British people were kind of looking at us thinking, literally, there are pubs twice as old as that in most towns, and we're like celebrating your 150th year. I mean, there are people that have lived to that long. Anyway, so I'm going back to basically, it's a pilgrimage. I'm going with some friends to see, going to Blackpool. There's various reasons for this. That I will share with you. Anyway, I'm going to take you through what I've been doing for the last week. I have been doing my usual of like half the week living like an absolute monk, going to the YMCA every day, seeing a personal trainer, walking the dog, sometimes even going for runs. Can't wait for the weather change. I mean, let's go with this. What the hell is going on with the weather? I'm looking out the window. It's snowing right now. I think you all relate to this somewhat. I did a stupid video, complaining about the fact that this is the only place in the world. It was ridiculous. It was literally proper sun. I walked the dog in a t-shirt. Then it was last a couple of weeks ago. Then it started to rain. Then my wife was nagging me to go and pick up all the leaves. And I'm like, literally, this is all 4 seasons in a day. I did this silly video saying, New Brunswick, or basically it's all of Canada, only place in the world where, you need a snow shovel, suntan lotion, air conditioning, a heater, a blanket, all in one day. The list, if someone were to turn this into a stand-up comedy routine, which they are possibly attempting to do, they could come up with more things for that list. Anyway, clearly this resonates with people. You never know what's going to land on the socials. Done that video, 500,000 views on the Facebooks. Anyway, so point being, I had half the week last week, YMCA every day, doing my usual 20 lengths, 200 calories on the machine, 200 sit-ups, bang, 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 every day, personal trainer. Then on Thursday, got on the bus to do I can't believe the solar eclipse it was a year ago. I remember because a year ago I did what I just did last weekend. I went to Montreal on the bus with Dream Vacation Tours to see 2 Canadiens games last year, and I just did the same this past weekend. But on the way back, they dropped me off in Woodstock, Florenceville last year, and so I could do that wonderful show with Colonel Chris Hadfield, who, when I told my friend Paul Wilson about, I said I'm doing a thing with an astronaut geezer. Geezer in England just means man, by the way, not what it means here. I've found out the hard way that geezer here in North America, for British listeners, apparently means old man. In English, it's like, oh, geezer, how you doing, geezer? Oh, geezer. Tim Andrews, if he's listening, will back me up on this. Geezer, how you doing, geezer? It's a bit like the C word. We bandy it around quite a lot. Speaking of the C word, I haven't spoken to you all since. I've just thought, oh my God, I haven't spoken to you all about Nancy Reagan's gig at the Yeah, of course, because last week's podcast was the podcast that we did in Halifax at Podstarter Studio, wasn't it? With Nancy Reagan. I haven't told you what happened. Okay, so basically, we done that podcast, and then after that, I went to Windsor that night. Went for dinner actually at the Highwayman in Halifax. I obviously heard of the Highwayman millions of different times. Heard many wonderful things. Walked past it a billion times, didn't realise I'd walked past it because there's no signage outside. It's obviously one of these restaurants that's so popular. Tapas, though. Tapas. Do you find with tapas? My problem with tapas, is that you start off and everyone's like, oh, yes, just order something for the table and let's all share. And you're thinking, I want my own. And it comes and there's a bit and you're like, oh, it's not enough. I don't want to grab that because there's not much there and there's 6 people at the table and And then basically what I'm getting to is, by the way, I did have a lovely, lovely meal. It was very, very lovely and a wonderful, I loved it. Great company, great food. But I'm not talking about specifically this meal, if you were at that meal and you are listening. But just generally with tapas, you basically go from worrying you're not going to get enough food to overeating it to disgusting degrees. Do you find that? You start off and you're like, oh my God, there's not enough. I can't grab that. I'm not going to grab that. I can't grab that. And then, so then you start grabbing just the stodge, so the stuff that you wouldn't normally eat, the big thing of white bread, the big deep fried thing, you're banging that back, and then suddenly next thing you know, and then suddenly tons more starts coming. Then you realise that you've gone from basically, well, you're not going to have enough, to eating 10 times more than you actually wish you had. Anyway, I then go to the Clockmakers Inn in Windsor, Nova Scotia. Windsor, Nova Scotia, of course, famously the birthplace of hockey. Beautiful place, the Clockmakers Inn. Very kind of old bed and breakfast. I'm the only one staying there on a Friday night, and they have this system of you let yourself in. Rick and Debbie, was it Rick and Debbie? I'm pretty sure it's Rick and Debbie. Is it on a piece of paper here? Point being, beautiful owners. Had an absolute. Anyway, didn't meet anyone on the first night. You go and you get yourself in. Very, very spooky. I posted a video of it. There's like spooky dolls around. Anyway, lots of fun. Saturday, we were filming for Nancy's show in the afternoon at the beautiful Mermaid Theatre, which incidentally, this show that I was doing, it was the last show at the Mermaid Theatre in Nova Scotia before their refurbishment began the next day. And what a magical show. I mean, one of my favourite venues that I've performed in a long time. Packed house, amazing audience, full of just people that had never seen me before, and then people who I'd met before but hadn't seen, like Joanne McLean, who used to be at Halifax Airport, who I interviewed for a video for Halifax Stanfield Airport a couple of years ago. And then obviously old friends in there like Lisa Prophet and Mary Barlow, just a joy seeing. And so Nancy and her TV crew were there filming. And of course, as you would have heard last week, Nancy was performing a stand-up set. Now, as I'm before every show, I'm of course nervous, spend the day preparing. It was funny, just this past weekend, being in Montreal and meeting some of the hockey players from the Canadiens and seeing and hearing about their schedule. It's funny how, not comparing myself to an NHL hockey player, obviously, but it's funny how when you have these big things where there's so much emphasis placed on a thing, and of course, me doing a stand-up gig in a theatre, not the same as playing NHL hockey, but it is in my mind. It means as much to me. Like it's my entire existence is that my entire place in the world. Everything I have emotionally and spiritually is invested in those shows. So the whole process of like wake up, eat at a certain time, nap at a certain time, do sit-ups at a certain time, do push-ups at a certain time, make sure everything's ironed by a certain time, making the sound check is done by a certain time, watch possibly 2 to 3 hours of the last few sets, see how they've gone, making notes, updating. Then, of course, as you know, I like to do, making the show specific to that town, going around researching, meeting people, finding the person that's going to give you the intel. And massive shout outs to everyone at the Clockmakers Inn and also at the Mermaid Theatre. There were so many people that very, very, very kindly helped me out, gave me intel. I'm right now trying to open up the document so I can thank everyone accordingly. Well, basically what I'm trying to say is literally thank you to every single person. So Debbie and Rick at the Clockmakers Inn, thank you so much. Everyone at the Clockmakers Inn. I got so much intel on that town that I pretty much overhauled the entire show to honor that. You know what? I've got to put up something. Okay, I'll do it in a minute. Where is it? Where's my bloody phone? Here it is. Anyway, the point being, that night Nancy Regan did stand up for the very first time during my set. Now, you will 100% get to see this a magical moment because of the fact that that it was being filmed obviously for her TV show. Suffice to say, she nailed it. Anyway, I got onto this because of the fact that Nancy, I never thought in a million years I would hear Nancy Regan say the C word. Now, obviously, she wasn't using it crassly. She was using it for a very good reason. It was due to a mistake that she once made on air when referring to something like the Kent County Fair countryside or something. Anyway, absolutely hilarious. Nancy was on fire. I want to say a massive thank you to Brianna Dykeman at the Mermaid Theatre, who just made everything so phenomenal. I thank you also to Aaron who Aaron Emery, front row photos, came and took some absolutely beautiful photographs from the show. Terry Daly on tech, but I have to say, Natasha at The Mermaid is basically my co-writer for the show. She gave me so much intel, complimented by Rick and Debbie, and also someone else at the Clockmakers. Point being, it was a joy. I was buzzing so much from the gig, could barely sleep. I actually left the gig, then got a message from Sean Majumdar saying that he was down the road doing a surprise pop-up show at a brewery. I think he's got a lot of big TV gigs coming up soon. So he was there like doing a secret show, testing new material possibly, or just workshopping ready for these big TV gigs. Anyway, I got back to the hotel and saw a message from Sean saying, "Hey, do you want to, are you around to meet?" Unfortunately, obviously, the bus sprint was super late. I'd stayed at the venue chatting with basically, me, I like to chat to everyone from the audience after the show. And please know, by the way, if you are coming to any show, I do not leave until I've met everyone that wants to meet. So if you're coming to any of the upcoming tour dates, don't think for a second that it won't be possible to come to say hello, have a hug, chat, photo, whatever, because I'm there. I'll stay there all night if I have to. I never stop appreciating. Anyway, then drove home, dropped off the rental car. My wife was working on something, so I plonked in an Andre Rieu DVD, something I always do when I want to, when I'm feeling good, when I feel inspired. I think I'd had like a week off the vino at that point, so I had a couple of vinos, watched the Junos, which were, which again, me, I'm Mr. Positive, but the Junos, what did you think of the Junos? Let me know. I felt like Canada. I know Canada can do better, is what I thought of that. Then what? I had great chats then with Ali Hassan. We've got Ali Hassan and I. If you are a fan of Ali Hassan from CBC, he Laugh Out Loud, Canada Reads. He and I are planning numerous ventures together. Well, we'll be together in Cape Breton Island recording for CBC in August. But also, Ali and I are doing a series of shows. I think I'm allowed to tell you this. Well, it's not been announced yet, but at the St. John Theatre Company, 4 nights, 4 shows. Hassan versus Mullinger on stage, a comedy extravaganza. So we were talking about that. Then I had some chats with Rob Balston about the big BC run of my tour which will be this November. I went to you'll see more of this online, but I went to Glassroots in St. John. You have got to Google Glassroots St. John. It's one of the only places that you can actually go and learn to blow glass. If you've ever watched that amazing Mark Bishop show on Netflix, Blown Away, Glassroots, it's one of the only places that like you just basically walk in, make an appointment, and go and glass blow. I could not believe how much fun I had glass blowing. Created so many things. The amazing team at Glassroots are like, his name is Curtis. Okay, now Curtis Dion is without question one of the finest artists and one of the best glass blowers in the world, and he's right in St. John on Canterbury Street. I went there actually after I went to St. John High first for another rehearsal / tech check. My St. John High show, by the way, I think we've sold about 600 of the 800 seats. 650. It's Saturday, the 26th of April. It's my only big St. John show of the year. Dennis Nibb Auditorium. If anyone listening, Dennis Nibb, of course, famously was the principal of St. John High. He was a Brit who moved to Canada, fell in love with St. John, and loved the talent that existed here. I am going to pay tribute to Dennis Nibb during this big show. So I would ask anyone listening, if you have any stories about Dennis Nibb that you would like to share with me. Barry Ogden shared some with me in the YMCA changing room the other week, but I couldn't take notes because I was naked. And I don't think my wife wants me coming home with Dennis Nibb's name written all over my naked body. This has gone weird. Anyway, point being, so if anyone's got any stories they can share with me while I'm clothed about Dennis Nibb, that would be great. What have I done? I've too many tangents. Anyway, Google. Well, it's not very useful, this podcast, is it? I'm basically just constantly telling you to Google things. I'm like those teachers. Someone goes, Miss, what's Macbeth about? Google it. Google it. It's not very helpful. Although you don't come here for the bloody news, do you? Curtis Dion, Grassroots. There'll be a big feature in the next issue of the Maritime Edit all about. Oh, by the way, we're doing a special travel issue of Edit this summer. Our first travel special. Where is it going to be covered, James? You ask. Did you ask? I don't know if you did. Kingston Peninsula, unsurprisingly, doing a little essay on why I love it so much. I am also doing one on Grand Manan, writing about my first weekend in Grand Manan. Kelly Lawson has written about Shediac. I'm also doing one about Moncton, specifically inspired by my Moncton video that you all kindly made go viral. If you have any suggestions of places in Atlantic Canada that haven't been covered or we haven't covered that we should be covering in the travel special, email me, comedy@jamesmullinger.com. Okay. All of that. Oh, who's been watching The Studio with Seth Rogen? Isn't it bloody good? That's it. That's my insightful commentary on that one. Isn't it bloody good? The whole one take thing. Interesting. Everyone's doing that now, isn't it? Just showing off, isn't it? But anyway, great script. Very funny. Interesting take to manage to make a studio head kind of relatable. So all of this is to say it's Nancy's first White Lotus finale was a bit disappointing, wasn't it? What do you think of that? It's funny, Mike White, the creator of the White Lotus, has come out swinging, kind of come out very defensive about people. Like it said something, lots of F words. Like, if you're not in bed with me and you don't want to be nudged, get out of the bed. But it's like, chill out, mate. Like, people don't have to love everything that you've done. And frankly, so there was stuff in the press that the White Lotus filming was obviously a nightmare. In that they're all kind of, well, I say nightmare, right? I mean, there's levels of nightmare. These pampered Hollywood stars, but basically behaving like the characters on the White Lotus, complaining about being stuck in the Four Seasons Koh Samui for 7 months. So I will say, maybe I mentioned this last week, the fact that my wife, did I tell you about this? My wife was stuck at the Four Seasons Koh Samui once. I can't remember if I told you this last week. Maybe not. That when Pam was pregnant with our first child, Hunter, so like 15 years ago, we planned the trip of a lifetime. She was out in Bangkok or somewhere doing business, and we decided that we would meet in the Four Seasons Koh Samui for like one final vacation before he was born, and life would be ruined. And life would be different, is the polite ruined. Basically, the volcanic ash cloud happened. Have I already talked about this? You remember that? The volcanic ash cloud, so weird. And so every plane is like dethroned, parked, stationed, not allowed to fly is the point. Not allowed to fly. And so basically I couldn't get on my plane to get to Koh Samui. She couldn't get out of there because obviously no planes could fly, but if they could, they were prioritizing people that weren't where they were supposed to be. And really, she was supposed to be there, and I was supposed to be there too, but they're not. I wasn't. We weren't priorities. So she spent like 5 nights, whatever, in the Four Seasons Koh Samui crying. Because also the other thing is, she can't, pregnant can't drink, so you could obviously get through it if you could go on a massive bender. Funny that, isn't it? That like, being pregnant and stranded, if she was not pregnant and stranded, she could have had an absolute blast. She's got absolutely leathered every day, met people, gone out living the dream. But pregnant, nothing to do. So what's my point? She was stranded there. And anyway, the Four Seasons, the what's it called? The White Lotus cast have been Amy Lou Wood. Oh my God, how good is she? She of course plays Chelsea, who is Walton Goggins' girlfriend in it, Rick. I'll go through some of my problems with it. The Jason Isaacs plot, the Ratliffs, Timothy Ratliff, Jesus Christ, 8 hours of watching him, popping pills, walking around looking a bit stressed. phone call after phone call saying that they're screwed. So many plot holes, like as if someone wouldn't have phoned the resort if all that was going down. Biggest plot hole of all. How the hell did if you haven't watched the finale of the White Lotus yet, don't listen to this. Jump forward 5 minutes. I'm sure 2 minutes. No, it's me. It's going to be a ramble. 5 minutes. What are we on? 30 minutes. Go to 35 minutes if you haven't watched the finale yet. How the hell would the Ratliffs have got out of the White Lotus resort given all of their assets have been seized? The feds have seized everything, locked down every account. There is no way he could have paid for that. So, and then what was so weird, but at the end, there'd been a massive shootout, 5 people get shot, and then it's just pictures of everyone leaving the resort smiling and waving. I think if you just witnessed a massacre, I don't think you're all smiling and laughing as you leave. Also, my God, why would you create a character as great as Mrs. Ratcliffe? What was her name? Victoria, played by Parker Posey, almost unrecognizable and unsoundable. Why would you make a character as good as that and then not show us her reaction to finding out they've got no money? Not sure about Patrick Schwarzenegger's acting, to be honest. I mean, I liked it when he was being wanked off by his brother. I say I liked it. I thought that was an interesting plot. It didn't go anywhere. Like most of the plots this season, nothing really went anywhere. The Russians obviously got away with their robbery. The 3 gossip girls, again, lots of that. Although I will say that what's her name? Carrie Coon, who plays Laurie, phenomenal actress, and I did love her final little speech, which essentially was saying, I've got it written down here somewhere. She said something about Jacqueline, who's the movie star, she says, I like this, and this is maybe true about friends, because I always find this with my friends. People judge you for your superficial defects, but you guys judge me for my profound defects. And that's interesting, because it's like, I try to obviously wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm a very honest person, I think, because if you listen to this, but yet no one knows what makes me tick or what my insecurities are more than my oldest school friends. And yes, they judge me and are dicks to me for my profound defects. But yeah, what was it Mike Lotus said? He said, Mike White, creator of White Lotus, said, if you don't want to be edged, then get out of my bed. I mean, he said actually, get the F out of my bed. If you don't, I mean, it seems a bit much. I mean, just accept people didn't like your shit, mate. I mean, if I did a gig and no one laughed, I wouldn't be coming out swinging, going, the overwhelming. Anyway, so I liked that little. Jacqueline. I haven't got the speech, but basically what I liked was she kind of said something like how she thought marriage would make her happy. It didn't. She thought her career would make her happy. She didn't. This is Carrie Coon's character, Laurie. She hasn't got religion. She hasn't got, the kids don't speak to her. And she kind of says, like, what I do have is time, i.e. with friends. But I guess goes to what my old editor at GQ used to say. He was, you can't make new, you can make new friends, but you can't make old friends. And I guess that's interesting. But, I mean, those three women, though, it was interesting, dynamic, kind of, especially, well, it was interesting when you thought it was going to go somewhere and it didn't. And then the Russian plot, again, didn't go anywhere. I think my big problem with the, and then of course there's what's her name? What's the name of the lady who, managed to blackmail or get the $5 million, who is from every season. She was screwed over famously by Stifler's mom, and she got her $5 million and then instantly turned. I mean, obviously, this is the whole point of the show. Is right, money corrupts, and we get that, and we've seen it. We're seeing it day to day. We're seeing, we see the fact that, the fact that Elon Musk, richest man in the world, the fact that he can, like, we all know, I'm assuming we're all aware of we are taught from such a young age about the depravity, the truly horrendous things the Nazis did. Everyone's aware of that. The fact that this man did the Nazi salute and we've all kind of just moved on from that is truly staggering. And then when people complain that, it's not right that Tesla dealerships are being defaced, the owner did a Nazi salute on purpose, won't apologize, stands by it. The president has defended Nazis in the past. He's the good people on both sides. He's also released Nazis from jail. This is Nazi behavior. And I don't agree with violence, and I'm not saying that I'm saying deface dealership, but I am saying there comes a point. This is how much they all lost. Thanks to Trumpy 1p, the world's 500 richest people lost a collective $536 billion in the first few days of stock market trading after Liberation Day. The biggest 2-day loss of wealth ever recorded by Bloomberg's Billionaires Index. Well, you certainly got my vote with that one, Trump. Obviously, I'd much prefer that 500 billion went to charities and good causes. But my God, I mean, just anyway. So the point of the White Lotus is obviously that money corrupts, and so that one of the only / most likable characters in the White Lotus was immediately corrupted. Immediately dropped the guy that she'd been flirting with and was going to start a business with, and has just now got $5 million. Doesn't care about anyone else. Is that slightly simplistic? Yes, it's also possibly true. Well, the other massive plot hole was, of course, that Lachlan. If you've just fast forwarded to this point, because I said fast forward 5 minutes because I wasn't going to bang on about the White Lotus finale for more than 5 minutes. I am still banging on about it, so you might want to fast forward that. But there's the fact that Lachlan, that kind of somewhat empty vessel of a character, who wanked his brother off. The fact that he went to make a protein shake and picked up yesterday's blender and didn't clean it. Has anyone ever actually? I mean, you're a bit of a monster if you only rinse it. But anyway. So that was the way. I didn't think much. Sorry, none of that made sense. Point being, what I'm going to get to this is that I'm going to see the Minecraft movie tonight, by the way, with my son River. Very excited about that. I went to Montreal at the weekend, took Dream Vacations bus tours. Sorry, that took me 30 minutes to get back to this. Went to see the Montreal Canadiens. The bus tour leaves 7:30 a.m. from Fredericton on the Thursday morning. Such a great bus tour. Dream Vacations is a great company. The value for money is phenomenal. Check this out. For $900 each, me, Hunter, Barry, get to go on the bus. So someone else is driving, so you can sleep. You arrive there rested. And then you included in the price is 3 nights in the Sheraton Hotel, which is a very nice hotel, literally 1 minute walk from the Bell Centre. Snacks the whole way there, snacks the whole way back. A Montreal tour, a trip to the casino, all kinds of other stuff for basically less than a grand. Unbelievable. Dream Vacations. Interestingly, set up by accompanied by a guy called Charles in Bucktouche, who once wanted to, Debbie, the amazing tour guide, was telling us the story. He wanted to go to Nashville and wanted to get a group of people together to go, and did get a group together and then set up this business in this. Anyway, went on the bus tour. I'm going to tell you this quick because I just realised I've got to walk the dog before I take before I pick up the kids from school. So point being, we go there. A Thursday night game, Montreal Canadiens versus the Boston Bruins. Saturday night, Montreal Canadiens versus Philadelphia Flyers. So many highlights. Just the atmosphere in an NHL game is unlike. Bell Centre, they say, is the best as well. When it all starts and the Coldplay song kicks in, it brings tears to my eyes every time. Walking around the arena, met so many people from New Brunswick. Actually, we had a right laugh one morning. On this Friday, we went to the game on the Thursday night. Had so much fun. On this Friday morning, we went to go to the Cheap Thrills record shop. So my son, Hunter wanted to buy a Kanye record, and the record shop wasn't open. So Hunter says to me, I was there with my beloved father-in-law Barry and my beloved nephew Jordan and my son. So there's 4 of us there, and Hunter goes, let's get on the subway and just get off at random stops. Why the hell not? When do we ever get to this? So we basically got on the subway and just anytime let him decide. Let the 14-year-old decide. Hunter says, let's get off here. We get off here. We just randomly got off at stops, walking around sketchy neighborhoods, posh neighborhoods. Chance to cross the Olympic Stadium, like most Olympic stadiums, just like basically left to rot. It's so mad how countries like work tirelessly to get the Olympics, and it's like yay, and then anyway, highlights of the trip. Obviously, went back to Reuben's, but basically, pretty much the traditions, the same things we did last year. Went to Reuben's for the biggest sandwiches in the world. But basically, the meats in the sandwiches at Reuben's are basically, it's like the amount of meat that like Pam would buy for the four of us for a month. I tell you what, I mean, I can't watch an NHL game without like, when the music starts and the lights are flashing, the players coming out, and Coldplay kicks in. I mean, it just brings tears to my eyes. And it's just nothing. Literally, I need breaks like this to clear my head and like calm the ADHD and the madness. And spending quality time with my son, father-in-law, and nephew was just so special. I definitely ate more than I wanted to, and I drank more than I wanted to. But you got to go through. I go through these cycles like most people. It's like healthy living for weeks on end, then going a bit mad, eating and drinking, and then come back. It was, and I've got so many shows coming up, and I'm basically gonna have a couple of weeks of like basically not being able to have even a sip of wine. So, went all out. But, while we were there, of course, on the Friday night, and we did all the same things we did last year, went to 2 games, Reuben's, swimming at the pool at the Sheraton. Alex Ovechkin, of course, beat Gretzky's record. Quite fun watching Gretzky's slightly pissed off face in the audience, wasn't it? Watching Gretzky a little bit miffed by that. Being all supportive and celebratory, but also very weird that you've got Gretsky and Ovechkin, 2 hockey people who are aligned with the 2 most dangerous leaders in close to a century. The fact that Gretsky is bum chums with bum chum, I haven't said that in years. That was a playground insult when I was a kid. Bum chum, also possibly a homophobic term. Bosom buddies, is that acceptable? Or is that misogynistic? I don't know. The point being, the treacherous former Canadian hero Wankstain is now besties with Trump, and Ovechkin obviously is besties with Putin, a supporter of Putin. Something the NHL likes to gloss over and ignore. Quite weird, all of us clapping and cheering a guy that literally is supporting someone who is a mass murderer and a gangster and a criminal. NHL are amazing at covering up stuff. Can you imagine how many murders they've covered up over the years? Like how many dead hookers and things that the players have... I mean, if they can basically gloss over, I think anyone in support of Putin was banned from taking part in things of other tournaments. The NHL is masters of. Anyway, the games are fun, so And I mean, like I say, I have grown to love hockey so much that it's just. I mean, I'm not willing to overlook this, but I mean, Ovechkin, Google it, full on supporter of. So point being, the highlights, never mind the negative stuff. The Ludwig, Lane Hutson, many of you will know, is one of the hottest rookies in NHL right now. We met him. Absolutely unbelievable. My son, Hunter, has Lane Hutson's rookie card, and we got it signed. I mean, talk about highlight. There were so many highlights of the trip. We ate at amazing places. We had so much fun. We laughed. We played cards. Crazy Eight, since you're asking. Did anyone here remember a game in England called Stick? Like, when you would like get the cards out and you were trying to get up to 21 and you would say whist or stick. And everyone was laughing at me saying there's no such thing as stick. Anyway, so met Lane Hutson. He signed Hunter's card. Hunter met Cole Caufield again. He'd met him before. Hats off to Emil Heineman, who is a number 51 from Sweden. What an absolute... As the players come in and out of the stadium, many of them, some absolute wankers, speed out of there, almost knocking over fans as they go. Other people are nice and stop and take pictures. Emil Heineman walks there and back. Here's one for you. Emil Heineman strolls in and out of just like the normal, entrance at the Belton, normal kind of staff entrance. Stops. I had a chat with him, picture taken, blah, blah, blah. As did the lovely Jacques, who is the husband of Debbie, Bellavo, who is the tour guide for Dream Vacations, both former school teachers in Bucktouche, who interestingly, their student, when they were teachers at school, was Charles, who actually owns Dream Vacations. He brought in his old school teachers. So sweet. Interesting fact for you, Charles's brother happens to be a referee, and he was the referee in the game when Alex Ovechkin got his record-breaking goal, which, of course, as a hockey fan, record-breaking goal, great. Very happy for him. Quite happy to see Wayne Gretsky look so pissed off, but having to pretend to not be pissed off, kind of pulling the whole. Do you remember the Samuel L. Jackson face when he found out he hadn't won the Oscar for, what was it, Pulp Fiction or something, and he just literally just turned to the cameras and went, said a swear word. Point being, which part? Emil Heineman. So we all met him. Jacques met Emil, saw him strolling, had a chat with him. That night, Jacques is leaving the big game, and he's chatting to some fella, and he says, my God, I can't believe, what an amazing game. And again, the stamina of these players and the fact they played like this on Thursday night. And then actually Friday night, Kane Brown played them at Bell Centre. The fact that they can turn these arenas forward from the game into some huge set. Lots of people from the bus went to the Kane Brown show, said it was absolutely phenomenal. And tickets were, again, they called them cheap. It's funny that $60 is considered cheap now, since we're so used to being screwed over by everyone overcharging. Anyway, Jack is leaving the arena, says to some other gentleman he's walking beside, can't believe we've got to do all this again tomorrow in wherever it was they were flying to, somewhere in America the next day, Washington, whatever. And he says, they've got to wake up tomorrow and fly there. And then this guy goes, oh, my son says they're actually flying out tonight. They're literally leaving the arena, going straight to the plane and flying out tonight. And Jack goes, oh, really? How'd you know that? Like, who's your son? And he goes, my son is Emil Heineman. It was Emil Heineman's dad. I mean, how mad's that? That Jack meets Emil Heineman in the morning and after the game, and then he meets the dad at the end, and then the dad says, we just live in that apartment over there. That's why Emil walks to and from the arena. I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I do and did. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll quickly tell you the book. So obviously I'm watching The Studio with Seth Rogen. I mentioned seeing Minecraft movie tonight. I've read 3 books on the bus. I read Bodies of Art, Bodies of Labour by Kate Beaton. Of course, Kate Beaton famously is the author of the award-winning, actually, Ali Hassan's Canada Reads award-winning Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands. Kate Beaton is obviously from Kate Beaton Island, amazing writer. This book is actually a book of a speech that she gave. Actually, very jealous reading this. I'm like, what I would do to deliver it's the CLC Kreisel Lecture Series. I bought it from Bookmark in Halifax, I think on my actual birthday, actually. It was the receipt. Yeah, it was on my birthday. I would love, imagine doing a speech. So anyway, it's about class in Canada. Very interesting and very relevant today. I also read the autobiography of Ty Domi, the Toronto Maple Leafs player, the enforcer. Shift Work is the book. It was published by Simon & Schuster, and it is. He had 333 fights in his career. It is interesting to me. I've been trying to get that new routine to work about hockey violence. Ty Domi, I mean, I'm looking at the cover right now, the book, face covered in scars. When you look at these fights, this man, it's completely mental. These fights, when he would get on the ice and and just be pummeling each other in the face. I know you're all sick of me talking about this, and I now get it, because now I've seen so many fights in hockey that I get why you don't think it's a big deal, because it's just what. It's basically hockey. I now realize it is half hockey, half UFC. I get that. Tied in with 333 fights and just like full on fist fights. But then when he did and just the stamina of these players. Ty Domi played in the when it was the playoffs, whatever, with a broken hand. He had a broken hand, and they just injected his hand to freeze it so he could play hockey. I mean, just amazing. This is why we're going to win the war with America, because. Just the fact that I know Americans play hockey too, but they're not as tough as Canadians. And the other book I read in the last week was Mark Blagrave's Felt, which he did send me very kindly with a note saying, what did the note say? Hi, greetings. Knowing how much you love St. Andrews, I thought you might be interested in my new novel set in St. Andrews. With the very best wishes, Mark Blagrave. I finished the book. It's absolutely wonderful. It's very beautiful, especially for anyone that's ever dealt with any close family members or loved ones that have Alzheimer's or dementia, and I have family with both. We're going through let's say we're going through some trying times in our family right now with medical issues, and sending out my love to everyone who is going through this with us. Mark Blagrave, it's a wonderful book. He's just been nominated for a New Brunswick Book Award, so congratulations to him. Definitely check it out. Wonderful read. And I was one deplorable character in there with very problematic views, very, very offensive, problematic views, which again, you can't blame the author for the character's views, because, lots of great literature and great art is about people with problematic views. However, one of these characters in Mark's book really does have some of the most deplorable views I've ever heard, even in an age of Elon Musk's doing a seal hike. And by that, I mean, one of the characters says that they do not like Palamine chocolate bars. I know. Frankly, horrendous. I almost, through the book, I was on a ski machine. But then I realized that no, this is the character. He's presumably showing us that this is a bad character, bad person, because they don't like Palamines. If you don't like the Palamine, you are... Well, I think it says it in the book that it is somewhat sacrilege, and I agree. Okay, that's been the podcast. Thank you for listening. This was episode 50 of Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. If you've got any questions for next week, comedy@jamesmullinger.com. This Friday night is sold out, but this Saturday night in Grand Manan, there are still some tickets left. If you've got any tips of where I should go in Grand Manan, please let me know. Next week I have two calls, but it's actually next Saturday night. Rose Cousins is at the Imperial Theatre, if anyone is interested. Following week, I've got multiple shows: Long Bay, St. John Middle Hospital Foundation, the Port of St. John, culminating in St. John Hyde. And the following week, a fundraiser for the Trinity Anglican Church. And the week after that, I have a gig in Halton, Maine, for which I will be deported or detained by ICE and possibly locked in jail, hopefully for no more than 2 weeks, because I can't handle more than 2 weeks in jail. I'll miss Mother's Day. I'll be in jail for Mother's Day. Anyway. Okay, sorry everyone, a quick PS / epilogue / postscript / whatever you want to call it. I basically just got in from watching the Minecraft movie and couldn't wait until next week to talk about this. Oh my goodness. Phenomenon does seem to be the word, since the atmosphere in the cinema, absolutely packed, by the way, which is any of you that's been to the cinema in St. John or indeed the Maritimes will know that's quite a rare occurrence. In fact, quite often I'm in a cinema completely alone. The cinema was completely packed, and it's Minecraft movie is showing in multiple screens. There's AVX, there's 3D. We were in the normal one because it's the cheapest, and completely packed. Met a lovely lady next to me who I met at a wedding at my friend Shannon and Luke's wedding. She was the wedding photographer, and she said she liked my comedy. And funny enough, that's the second Shannon and Luke connection I've had this week. We have a new neighbour next door. Our neighbours Jane and Bentley, who used to blind the entire neighbourhood with their vast array of Christmas decorations, including things like Christmas decorations I don't remember from the nativity scene. Things like, I don't know, Robin Hood on a Harley Davidson wearing a Montreal Canadiens jersey. Anyway, the point is that it was absolutely rammed in there. There was all kinds of people, kids being what I thought was annoying, getting up and making announcements about flying popcorn. And then when something called Chicken Jockey happened, everyone going completely mental. I now know from coming home and speaking to my other son about this is some kind of TikTok, Big Bok, Lick Lock, social media phenomenon. And all I can say is, as much as I hate disturbances in cinemas, this isn't The Brutalist or Killers of the Flower Moon. This is the Minecraft movie. And quite frankly, from watching these videos, there are kids all over the world having an absolute blast. What a joy to see a phenomenon occurring. A phenomenon that reminds me of... I see it's the biggest... Everyone, my youngest son, who I went to see it with, said that when the trailer came out, people were kind of laughing at it. And now it's become this incredible thing. Kind of like, I guess, what happened with Sonic. Everyone laughed at Sonic, and then that became huge. I find it interesting or pointless whenever people write about these movies that become huge box office successes, that they say, despite negative reviews, it has broken all box office records. And I believe Minecraft movie has broken all box office records in that it's the highest first weekends taken for movie based on a video game. Is that what they're called? Computer games? ZX Spectrum, 16K. I don't know. I have never played Minecraft. I actually tell a lie. I played it once at the Somerset Resort in near Camden, Maine, in March 2020. Yeah, the week before the COVID ended the world, and all I did was run around trying to kill villagers, and my kids thought it was hilarious. And they still talk about the fact that the one time I played Minecraft, I couldn't kill all the villagers. So the point being is, I don't get any of the references in Minecraft. I absolutely loved the movie. It reminded me of, like I say, when I was a kid, seeing Ghostbusters for the first time. Interestingly, in Jason Momoa's shop, which looks absolutely awesome and also incredibly authentic. You know how some of the things in Stranger Things look a bit like a theme park version of a video store or a mall. Jason Momoa's store, which is like a retro video game store and comic book store, does look like an authentically... Anyway, everyone is in it is brilliant. The cast are phenomenal. Jennifer Coolidge is in it, and it is absolutely hilarious. So anyone that is missing, as I was ranting earlier about the White Lotus and how much the White Lotus was missing Jennifer Coolidge this season, your Jennifer Coolidge fix is there waiting for you in the White Lotus. And it was so amazing seeing all the kids going absolutely wild about all these catchphrases they know, and then all the parents laughing at these brilliant Jennifer Coolidge jokes. Incidentally, earlier I forgot the name of a character in the White Lotus I was talking about. It was Belinda, of course. Belinda is the character who was given the money by Greg, the $5 million to stay quiet about the fact he had killed Jennifer Coolidge, and how and of course Belinda is played by the actress Natasha Rothwell. She is in season 1 of White Lotus, in which Jennifer Coolidge's character fails to give her the money that she said she was going to invest in her business, and of course Mike White sledgehammering his point, multi-millionaire Mike White sledgehammering his point that money corrupts. Within 5 minutes of becoming a millionaire, Belinda abandons all her dreams and just goes off to be some rich wanker. Anyway, point being, Minecraft movie, go and see it. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I know I don't agree with people trashing cinemas or making a mess, but I will say the sound of people cheering and laughing and clapping and applauding. I'm someone that applauds in movies all the time, and normally it doesn't matter because I'm the only one in there. I'll definitely be applauding this Sunday when I go and see Andre Rieu's 75th birthday party film at the Cineplex as soon as I get back from Grand Manan Island. But normally when I'm watching Killers of the Flower Moon by myself or the Alto Nights, I sit and clap at the end. I also clap at the end of when I go and see the Met HD opera live streams. Anyway, seeing kids react like that, it reminded me of seeing Indiana Jones in the cinema, Temple of Doom, 1984, of course. Seeing Return of the Jedi in the cinemas, 1983, of course. And also the posters up in Jason Momoa's shop, National Lampoon's Vacation, 1985, Beetlejuice, I believe, 1988. I am. Those are all from memory, by the way. I don't have the Googles open. That is how sad I am, and how. Well, I say how sad my childhood was. It was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. Just watching videos, going in the video store, picking out videos, and seeing that cover of National Lampoon's Vacation for the first time, and then seeing that poster on the wall of Jason Momoa's shop was just absolutely delightful. Anyway, love the movie. Go and see Minecraft movie. Even if you've never seen Minecraft, you'll enjoy it. And I just think it's wonderful. The world is burning right now. There is so much hate, so much division, and the cinemas are packed of kids having an absolute blast at a movie about building and creating things. Although that is one of the ironies about the film, is of course in the film, at no point are their children just sitting in their bedroom playing computer games. They are out there creating things, building things, dancing, singing, fighting, doing all kinds of amazing things. So it's kind of a bit like, it's going back to that show, The Studio, with Seth Rogen, where they're trying to make a movie. Brilliant first episode with Martin Scorsese, where they're trying to make the movie of Kool-Aid. Kind of satirizing the way that, something like Barbie becomes a phenomenon. What is interesting with this Minecraft movie is, of course, that it is kind of like how Barbie, the movie, was a feminist movie based on a highly misogynistic concept and a doll. And the same way Minecraft is the thing that has trapped children in their bedrooms doing nothing but playing computer games, and the whole movie is about getting out there and having fun. So they're kind of, it's hypocrisy, but you know what? Whatever. It's fun. Kids are out there having fun. The movie's fun. Enjoy it. Sorry, I had to share this. I couldn't wait till next week. So don't watch the White Lotus finale. Watch Minecraft. It's better. Don't hear that often. Lots of love.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.